Mic check. I am sorry, by the way, if my voice won't be good today. Like, I've been experiencing like sore throat for like a couple of days already. Like yesterday when I filmed like my comeback Call of Duty mobile gameplay here in Battle Royale, I was already ill, but now it's worse and it's actually my fault. I'm gonna update you guys about what went ever since I filmed because I didn't like what happened last night, but nothing terrible happened, okay? I mean, it's terrible in a way that you might be concerned, but nothing terrible happened. But at the same time, things and shit happened. No, no, let's cancel that. I don't like playing with the squad. I only like to play it alone unless it would be with my friends like Angel and some of her friends, or like if Ainer and Sheena would come and join us, which is far from possible. But no. Okay, this is wise. Okay, I like. I apologize if I'm being quirky today. Like I just woke up like a couple of minutes ago. I mean, I've already eaten my lunch, but I just woke up. My mind's not working. I'm gonna leave this because I would like I I said I love playing solo if not with my if I won't be playing with my friends, but I'm not playing solo in a four-man version of the Battle Royale. Why is this even in like a squad thingy? Like, why is it the squad version when last night I played the single player version of the Battle Royale? But yep, let's start this. But to start things, I slept at 7 a.m. And yep, I told myself I shouldn't be sleeping anymore. I mean, I shouldn't be staying up that late. It's not even late anymore. It's morning. It's not sleeping at all at night and doing it as soon as the sun rises up. And yep, I mean, not, most of the time, if I ever sleep freaking late, or if me being awake reaches the morning, it's probably because I got depressed. I was like crying all night and I was struggling to sleep. But no, last night it was different. And it's because I played Silent Hill, a Silent Hill game, in like my on like my PSP emulator. In case you don't know what an emulator is, it's like an application that you can download on your phone, and if you have that application, then you can play PSP games on your phone. And I played Silent Hill. The thing is, I already downloaded a different Silent Hill on my PSP emulator to play it on my phone because, yep, like what I said, I mean, like what I said. I mean, I don't know if I talked about this before. I mean, I think I talked about Silent Hill the last video. I'm not sure. I forgot. Okay. Like, every time I live my life, it feels like I lived multiple lifetimes. But, yup. I'm not sure if I talked about it, but I played a Silent Hill game when I had a PSP in the past. I used to have a PSP. I used to play Silent Hill Shattered Memories. So, it's actually a great game, but I never got to finish it because it was so freaking scary to the point that, you know, it's the only game. I mean, I've played a lot of scary games, but it's one of those games in which even if there's nothing happening, I would be at the edge of my seat the whole time. I remember sweating the whole time I was playing the game. I wasn't able to finish it because, you know, the only problem with a PSP is that if you keep using your PSP, and to be specific, if you keep using your joystick, the joystick would start working terribly. Like it would be a little bit wonky to use. And I mean, it makes sense because we all know how sensitive those joysticks are. But there's like a mechanic in that game, like one of the puzzles involved, like basically the last scene or the last thing I played in that game, Shattered Memories, was basically I had to realign the stars to unlock something, and to realign the stars you have to use the joystick. And basically, since the joystick was not responding well with me, like it's not cooperating well, and I wasn't able to realign it well to the point that it was impossible to finish the game. Like if you want to finish the game, you need to have your joystick replaced, which is something that my dad used to go to the mall for it to be fixed. Like that has been the issue of like our PSP. I think it's because our PSP was like fake and not real. I mean, we used to have like an original PSP because in case you don't know how to differentiate an original from a fake one, we used to have a PSP, the black one, you know, the classic color of the PSP. And if you have the black PSP, I mean, as long as it's original, it doesn't have to be black, but as long as you have like the original one, you would know it's original because it's freaking heavy. And I remember the PSP being heavy to the point that when, you know, we lost that PSP, I don't know what happened to that PSP. Dad brought it to work, but it never returned to our home ever since we brought it to work. But after a few months, we once again got a new PSP, and this time it was smaller, it wasn't heavy, and basically it's obviously fake because it was also easy to break. Another proof that it wasn't original is because, you know, some games, I mean, you can download games to your PSP through like ISO, I think. Basically, you don't have to completely like get a, what do you call this? I forgot the thing you use. You need to connect it to the game. Let's say this is the game, and there's this chip that you connect to the console so that you can access the game. But unlike when it comes to like PSP, like it's like bigger, like it's like bigger than those chips, but smaller than a CD, but it looks like a CD. I don't know how to explain it, but yep. Basically, the place in which you put the CD thingy, every time I open that, basically it's broken. Like the PSP isn't broken, but that part, the part of the PSP in which you need to put it's not cartridge, right? I think it's called cartridge for like other consoles. But basically the cartridge, the place where you put the cartridge like thingy to play PSP games.
Airdrop incoming.
That part of our PSP was broken, which is why I knew it was fake. But even though it was broken, we didn't mind it because we downloaded games, not through like the CD thingy. We downloaded it through the usual way.
Exploration begins.
I mean, I'm not sure if what's the usual, okay? Because of course, since we are not that freaking rich, but we had a PSP, we had to rely on, you know, going to the mall, going to those random shops in which you can have your PSP fixed, or if you want, you can download. Like, you would have like the vendor download those PSP games for you because they have like the files on their computer. And also those shops in which they sell you like second hand or fake versions of stuffs, of gadgets, like a black market type of thing. Wait, is there another enemy? Because there was There's something invisible behind the person that I just killed,
Exploration begins.
but nobody's around. Would you say if a an enemy is around, if they are using their invisibility class? I know it's not called invisibility, but yup. But yup, we had a fake PSP and I played Shattered Memories there and it was freaking hell. To be fair, the game is hell because it's supposed to be. It's like a metaphorical version of your mental struggles. So, Silent Hill isn't actually a place. I mean, technically it is, but it's more of a representation. It basically answers the question: where do the minds of people go? Where do their minds go when they are mentally struggling? And basically, they go to like some people would just sit down, but they're already going through a journey in their mind. And yep, that's basically Silent Hill, and I love Shattered Memories for scaring me, for stressing the shit out of me. But besides that, I never played the mainline games because I never had a PS1 or PS2 or whatever consoles you can play those games in. But yep, I played Silent Hill Origins. I tried to play the Shattered Memories on like the emulator in my emulator, but the game is too the game was too slow to play, which is why I was worried that if I download as soon as I download Origins, I won't be able to play it because the same thing would happen. It would be slow, like the audio would be shit. It's the audio is still shit when it comes to like cutscenes, but the gameplay itself, it wasn't slow. It was actually, I was able to play it smoothly, except for the combat mechanics. Because in general, I'm terrible with combat mechanics. I want to use that car. Should we? I'm sorry if I'm not exploring that much. I'm doing this to share stuff. So, I'm keeping this entertaining and at the same time, just want to freaking enjoy. But yep, I wasn't able to sleep last night because I played some parts of the Origins. I wanted to film it, but I wasn't sure what the performance would be like. The performance is good. Damn! We hit somebody with a car. Where was I? Like, there's another shitty thing about me just waking up. I will eventually forget what I was just talking about seconds ago. But basically, yep, I played the whole night to the point that it wasn't night anymore. I only slept because my parents were already awake outside this bedroom storage, whatever room. But yep,
Exploration begins.
Silent Hill. And you know what? I mean, it makes sense for me to sleep by the time the sun rises up. What the fuck? Damn. I thought I would need to reload I thought I would need to reload to kill that bitch. But yep. It makes sense if I wasn't able to sleep last night while playing Origins, because it's the thing about Silent Hill is that it's scary, but at the same time the story is freaking interesting. It fucks with your mind, and at the same time, what makes the game charming? Its charm is basically its puzzles. Like, we can say like the psychological horror is like their charm, right? I mean, it's their concept. It's their main concept. It's what makes the game stand out. Like, psychological horror is owned by Silent Hill, the same way viruses, like sci-fi horror, is owned by Resident Evil, which is something that I've been interested. in playing to the point that I've been watching gameplays of like the latest game, mainline game, the Resident Evil 8, or also known as Village, which is actually clever because you know why it's called Village instead of 8? Because the Vil of Village, VILL, it also looks like a Roman numeral. It's basically the Roman numeral of 8, right? Which is clever.
Exploration begins.
But yup, the game was time consuming last night to the point that I was able to sleep by the time it was now morning. And I think that's the reason why I gotten more ill with this sore throat, because I'm fucking myself, not literally, duh. But yup. And at the same time, before playing Origins, I was like tweaking my chat GPT, because every time I'm bored, what I would do is that I would go to chat GPT, and every time I have a small idea that fucks with my mind, that is like it's mind, what I would do is that I would play with the idea in chat GPT. And by means of that, I mean is that every idea that is in ChatGPT, they're all my idea, and ChatGPT doesn't I let ChatGPT contribute stuff, so, because I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not making use of it to create content. I'm using it like basically like I have this idea of something. Let's say I have this. Let's say I've done this
Airdrop has been delivered.
like days ago. Like I was like watching the Minecraft. I'm not Minecraft Live. I was watching a showcase of the current snapshot of like Minecraft, because you know, in case you're not a fan of Minecraft, they announced new features, including the Pale Garden, the creaking and stuffs, and now they're available to be tested. No, what the okay, that was rude. But yup. And after that, I was like, what if I make my own Minecraft update? And I was like, I do this, I do that. And I won't explain it actually. I'm itching to explain it to you in this video. But at the same time, we just lost. And at the same time, that's not the main topic. That's just an example, which is why I'm not gonna talk about it. But last night, I was like what I said, I've been obsessing with Silent Hill and Resident Evil to the point that I was like, what if I make my own horror game franchise, and I want it to be a different charm. And I was like, why not? I really love psychological horror, so I want it to be based on like what fucks with your mind. And at the same time, I was like, why not every psychological horror story that we tell in these games, why not let's play one more game. Okay. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna watch this later. Wait, I don't like watching games while I'm playing a game. But yup. Well, I was like, let's say this is a psychological horror type of game, and it would be a franchise. So basically, every game is a different story. I was like, every psychological story, I want to relate it to like a legend or a myth or like an urban legend, and basically the thing is, I think what makes this, besides the idea that psychological horror is I'm connecting psychological horror stories to like urban legends. Another charm of this game that I'm coming up with is that like the game starts, of course, the game tells you the context, why you're playing the game, like this happened, that happened, and stuff. But at the same time, after that, the game would start normal. In fact, the game would feel like a game. It would feel like a life simulation type of game, because you can interact with stuff like you wake up at your home. You would be at your home in the beginning of the game, and after that, you go to like the subway, let's say the subway, and or a train station, and after that you go to the office, then you go to the convenience store, you can go to the restaurant, and after that you go home and you pass by this important area. And basically the game is called, name of the game in general is called Arc of Abstract. Arc refers to like the story and abstract refers to the mind. And this specific game is called Arc of Abstract Drive because it's inspired by the Baleta Drive, the white lady in the Baleta Drive. But my story for this is like the protagonist. I'm going to tell a story while playing this game. The protagonist basically had a friend. And I'm saying had because that friend died, okay? And they died in this place, at this place called the Baleta Drive. And nobody knows if this friend was murdered or if this friend was like committed suicide or was in an accident or supernatural stuff. So, but since this place is known for like the white lady, then people are assuming that this person was killed by the white lady. And that's it. Like that's how I connect those two. Like I mean, it's not. I haven't talked about the psychological stuffs yet, but basically the psychological stuff of the story is basically the grief that comes with a person, you know, dying. Like basically the protagonist's friend died, and obviously, how would you feel about it? The idea of not knowing, it would fuck with like the protagonist's mind to the point that in the beginning of the gameplay, like things are normal. You do your daily routine, you would be at your home, then you know go to the subway, work and stuff. In the beginning of the game, it would be normal, like nothing happens. You can interact with lots of stuffs. It really feels like a simulation type of game to the point that you really have to interact with stuff. So you can interact with lots and lots of people, and it feels normal in the beginning. But the thing is about this story is that it also involves, it's not really a loop, it feels like a loop, but at the same time it's not. I think the reason why it feels like a loop because like the same thing not really the same thing, because there would be different interactions every day, but you can interact with the same items every day. But it feels like a loop because you can't move on from the death of your friend to the point like every day feels like the same. It feels like you're stuck as long as you're thinking about that friend of yours who died. Then you won't be able to go forward. And I think that's one of the depressing things ever, right? And like what I said, in the beginning, like things are normal, just interact with stuffs and treat it like a life simulation, build relationships with other people. But on the way, you would know about the rumors of the Baleta Drive, and also people are talking about the death of your friend because it's very fresh, and you would know how some people are relating the death to the Baleta Drive legend. And the thing is, like what I said, it feels like a loop, right? After going to the Baleta Drive, you go to the Baleta Drive before going home. After that, the next day happens and you do the same thing over and over again. And it might still be normal, but after like multiple loops, multiple days, things would start to feel different. Like your house, the more
Exploration begins.
the more you encounter your house, the more you live in this house of yours, the more it would start to get weird. Like your place, like it looks good in the beginning of the game, but after like a couple of days, a couple of
Airdrop
loops,
incoming.
something weird would be happening in your home. And same thing that happens in like the subway or the train station. Like some people would talk about something else, something weird happens in like the train station, and yup. Basically, the beginning of your game is just live your life while knowing the context of the story. Then after that, while you keep living your life, weird things happen to the things that you do over and over again. And basically the climax is that I mean the thing is there are multiple endings that's like inspired by like the, in case you are not aware, like supermassive games, they create this decision-based type of games in which the ending of the story depends on how you interact with stuffs, how you want the story to be. And in this game, it's the same, but at the same time, I don't want to go, too hard on like the decision-based side. There would still be different endings, but I'm not gonna tap onto that mechanic that too much. I mean, I would tap on that mechanic so much, but not too much, if you know what I mean. And basically, I have like 6 endings for this game. The first one is accepting the death of your friend and not blaming the white lady for like the things that happened. The thing is, in the story, you would realize that the white lady, it's not just an entity. The white lady is also a victim. My idea is that the white lady is the first victim of the ballet drive, and since and nobody knows how she died, right? Nobody knows if she died from suicide, accident, or was murdered. And since nobody knows, people turned her into a legend to the point that every time terrible things happen in like the ballet drive, they blame it on this entity, the white lady, to the point that, you know, in fact, the white lady doesn't have anything to do with like
Exploration begins.
all of the crimes that happened in the ballet drive, all the things happened in the ballet drive. The white lady doesn't have anything to do with those situations. She is only blamed for the things because she is the legend of that place. And I think we can correlate like her story to the friend who died, the friend of the protagonist, because this protagonist as well, like ever since he overthought the idea of his friend dying, overthinking about the death of his friend led to terrible things happening in his life. Like thinking too much about something that you need to move on from. I mean, it's hard to move on, okay? In fact, everybody would experience the same thing that the protagonist would be experiencing. But yup, the hauntings, they only happen because you're overthinking negative thoughts.
Half of the players are eliminated.
You're like too driven by grief, and you have this concept of a white lady that you think might be the reason why your friend died, which is why you're being haunted. Like your minds are the ones haunting you. Like the white lady doesn't have to do anything with it, your friend doesn't have to do anything with it, but it feels like the story wise, like thinking about your friend so much, it's starting to ruin your life. And maybe that's the biggest haunt of this game. It's not actually the white lady. It's not actually your friend who died. The biggest haunt of this game is not being able to move on. The guilt that you have that your friend died, not knowing what happened to him. Like, that's the reason why you're being haunted. Your thoughts are the ones haunting you. The same way, like, people are blaming the white lady because they don't know what happened to the white lady as well. They don't know what happened to the white lady. Like, the actual person that turned into this legend of the white lady. They don't know what happened to this person to the point that she became the so-called cause of every incident that happened at the ballet drive. Like, it parallels, right? The friend's, the protagonist's friend who died and the white lady. Their deaths are mysterious to the point that they are like being villainized. Like white lady being villainized because other victims died in the ballet drive and she was the first one, so she's the one to blame. And the player thinking too much about the friend who died to the point that it's haunting him, even though the friend isn't actually haunting because there is no such thing as haunting. Oh, shit. Why not just give me a break, okay? Okay, I'm being chased, okay? Nope. Let's close the door. I'm not
Airdrop
gonna
incoming.
speak for a while. I haven't been focused because I was too hellbent in like talking about the game. That's the only issue with like keeping this entertaining. If I keep this entertaining, then it would be harder for me to like focus on the actual game. I hope that
Location exposed.
we.
Airdrop has been delivered.
Okay, they know where I am, so we gotta go. In fact, I'm not even expecting myself to win anymore. I just want to survive. But yeah, that's the horror of the Baleta Drive. It's like what I said. Like some people might not like it because they don't like the idea of it's all in your mind type of horror. But at the same time, it makes sense for a psychological horror because the horror comes from your mind. The scary things are just made up
Exploration begins.
because of like the things you are going through. Like you're only being haunted by the white lady because you think she's the reason why, and it's not even because like you're blaming her so she is haunting you. It's not that you keep thinking of her, then you're if you keep thinking of her, then you would keep thinking that she is haunting you when you're just scaring yourself. Same thing with the friend. I keep repeating it to prove you guys how the story parallels with one another. But yup. Um Even the friend, like the only reason why you think your life is looping is because you keep think it's not because you keep doing the same thing, it's because you keep thinking of the same thing over and over again. I mean, to be fair, the more you think about people, the more you think about people, the more you manifest them. You think of dead people, then you manifest them. And in fact, the manifestation is not even like a true. All of a sudden, they appear. You let them appear because you keep thinking of them. That's basically the whole storyline of this drive. And that would be the same storyline for like, I mean, not everything. For the future games that I have in mind. Because I have like a second game. I'm gonna keep this short. It's called 13. And this one is, it talks about the legend of like, the urban legend. Talking about like the 13th floor. And you know, places, there's no such thing as a 13th.
Chip terminal installed.
There's no such thing as like a 13th floor, right? Every time you go to a building with like higher floors than 13, there won't be a 13th floor. They skip it. And I was like in my mind, what if like there's an actual 13th floor, but you can't access it because that's where crimes are
Airdrop
done,
incoming.
if you get what I mean. And basically the storyline here, the thing is I wanted it to happen in like an office setting, but at the same time the past game already, Art of
Airdrop has been delivered.
Abstract Drive, it already has an office, so I was like, why not a hotel? And the main character here is like a mistress of a businessman. And basically, at first, like it's like a life simulation again. Just interact with places. There are multiple floors, so interact with every floor. Then the more you interact, the more you would hear rumors. You would hear some of the staffs talking about there's no such thing as a 13th floor, but they know that the place. I mean, the staffs obviously they're like the workers of this place, so they know the most about the reputation of like the hotel, to the point that no, there's an enemy nearby. I think they're trying to shoot me. That made me silent so much. But yup, where was I? So basically, the more they interact, the more they talk to people. The staffs would talk about, since they know so much about the hotel, they would tell how there might be suspicious things happening in the hotel. Like the businessman has committed crimes, and this mistress is fucking with a actual criminal, and they joke about there's no such thing as a 13th floor, but since this hotel has a secretly bad reputation, what if all the crimes are being done in the 13th floor and an actual 13th floor exists? And some people would talk about how there's an actual 13th floor, but it's not accessible for the same reason. And since you're the mistress, you would meet the wife, and the storyline would also involve the wife a lot. I thought that was like a white flash, in which if, you know, you get a white flash, that means there's somebody sniping you, trying to point a gun at you from far. But yup, let's hide here, because it's always effective to hide in like a bathroom-like place. But yup, that's basically the reason why you're in the hotel, because the businessman wants to keep in touch with you. The businessman wants to get to know you more, to the point that they want you to live in the hotel, basically. And after like progressing this game, as the more you progress in this game, you would meet the businessman again, because you can visit like his office, and he was like, he finally broke up. He's finally having a divorce with his wife so that they can get together, like the mistress, the main character, and him. And all of a sudden, the wife enters like the hotel to argue with the man, but at the same time, the more you progress the game, the more you would notice that the wife isn't. The wife entered the hotel, but the wife never left. So what if like the wife is somewhere in the hotel, and
Watch
since
out.
the wife
K9
and
unit incoming. Only 2 players left. Almost there.
but yup, basically the wife was locked on the 13th floor, and you will eventually be led to the 13th floor as well, because you've been snooping around the whole hotel. And basically this is where the psychological stuffs enter, because the 13th floor, it would be hard to escape. You would try the stairs, but it leads you to the 13th floor still. Like basically you're entering not just the 13th floor, but the other dimension, the other side of the hotel, the dark side of the hotel, but the abandoned version of it. And you have to eventually escape it with the wife, because the wife is somewhere there. That's where the psychological side enters, because you know the 13th floor, it's just one floor, but you can escape it. The 13th floor expands, and if you choose the stairs, you would be led back to the 13th floor, but it's a different area still, but it's called the 13th floor. And I think it makes sense as a psychological, because the guilt of like,
The safe zone is collapsing. Exploration begins.
trust me, I swear to God. Okay, I'm dead. Okay, I'm dead, obviously, but okay. But that's the 13th floor. I talked about the story. Oh my god, 2 gameplays. I talked about the 2 games in like this 2 gameplays. But yep, that's what I've been doing last night. And basically, like what I said, psychological horror in like the second game involves like, obviously you're dating a murderer to the point that you're starting to feel guilty. Like you feel like you can't escape this huge ass building, and your curiosity about the 13th floor, it's hard to escape it. And I think it would make sense though, because the main character, the protagonist here, is like a mistress, and obviously a mistress is like a partner that is being kept as a secret, a partner in secret. But being kept secret. Obviously, why am I struggling? Like, I'm overthinking too much about what I'm saying. But yep, a mistress is basically a partner that is being kept in secret because there's an actual wife. The same way that this businessman, he keeps his dirty crimes in the 13th floor. And you can see that whatever you, however you see the mistress, you think that they deserve to be part of the 13th floor because they're just as hidden as this businessman's crimes. But it depends on how you build the protagonist. Okay, there are multiple endings to this, and I forgot to talk about the multiple endings, but I don't think that matters because I'm just sharing stuff. So, but yeah, we got second place the second time we played. So yep, I'm fine with that. But yep, thank you guys for watching this. Sorry if it's less gameplay and more talky. But yup. I mean, it was cool though that I got the first gameplay. I hit an enemy with a car and they actually died. So yup, that's great. But yup, thank you for watching. That's right. And see you guys on my next video.